So I won't spend much time on this slide. Jamie kind of alluded to it, where the solution architecture team fit into the whole organizational hierarchy. As I said, we roll up to Glenn Poplawski, who reports to the state chief information officer. The solution architecture team that's led by me is a very small team. I just have 5 people under me, which is shown here. So let's go on to the next slide. So what does a solution architect do? Who is that individual and what do they do? So when agencies execute projects, there is a lot of the times it involves information technology. And if you're running a project and you are thinking about things such as, how do I do this? Should I do this? Should I buy some product, some software, some hardware from some vendor? Will it work with what I already have? Have I thought through all my questions? What if I miss something? If I'm missing something, is there a piece of the puzzle that I have not thought through? So if you have those kind of thoughts in your project and you say, I need to talk to somebody who can guide me through this, help me and walk me through this process, that's when you say, hey, I need a solution architect who can help me make those technology decisions. That's what the solution architecture team does. So who is this person, solution architect? What skills do they bring to the table? What do they have in their hat? What tricks do they bring in their hat? A solution architect is essentially a person with a lot of breadth and depth of skills in various technologies. So they are someone who have been in the field for a while. They have scars to show that how not to do things. They have done a lot of things very different ways and realized what's the best way to do it or the optimal way to do it. So you might run into people who says, I have done databases for 20 years. Well, solution architect cannot say I have done databases or I have done only hardware or only software, only application development or a Java or a .NET. You have to do more than one, maybe 3, 4 things over a long period of time. So you have very good understanding of how these pieces of the puzzle fit together to meet your project needs. That's what a solution architect is. So I'm on the next slide. So I try to draw an analogy here about what a solution architect is, and I took an example of a building constructions. Let's say there is a new subdivision coming up. I mean, real estate is hot in this area and there are new houses being built every day, right? You will see a general contractor who is coordinating all the people involved in making the houses, whether it's electrician, plumber, carpenter, masonry work, he's coordinating all that effort. There is definitely a chart, a Gantt chart to say your house will be built in 6 months or 8 months. If it's a subdivision, you will see blueprints, you will see models. Where is your community pool? Where is going to be fitness center? Where the roads are and things like that. So that's what a construction industry looks like. Now let's take that analogy and lay it over with the IT with the IT project. You have the PM who's like a general contractor who's herding the cats, who's bringing all the people together to make that project successful. Then you have an architect who does the blueprints, just like in a construction industry, but those blueprints look different. They look at things, whether I have all the components, how they will fit, will they work together? And instead of building models, solution architects do proof of concept to show you, yes, this will work, or no, this will not work. So enough about what a solution architect is, what you do, when do you need a solution architect. Let's look at some of the work that the solution architecture team has done in last couple of years, and that might give you some good idea about what do solution architects do. So I have some examples here. I'm not going to walk through all of them. I will only cover the ones that are highlighted in bold. But if somebody has questions on any specific projects, I'll be more than happy to dig into details. So the first one I'm going to cover is the OSCs. So all of you know that we have a financial system in the States called NCAS, which runs on mainframe. It's 30-plus-year-old system. The controller's office is replacing that with the cloud-based financial solution from Oracle. So me and my team has been working with controller's office for last 3 years, and we have provided assistance in developing RFP, in the selection of the software, in selection of the systems integrator, which happens to be Deloitte in this case. And we have been assisting them in terms of making technical decisions as we go along the project, and will continue to help them over the next 1 or 2 years till we go live with the new system. The next one I'm going to talk about is the DOA, Department of Administrations. So in downtown, most of the buildings are managed by DOA. When you walk into those buildings, we swipe your badge, right? There's a card reader. There's a system behind it. It's called Velocity system, which was due for upgrade because it was running out of service and the vendor said you have to upgrade to a newer version. Now, these systems are much different than your regular applications. You know, in your regular applications, you have developers in-house, you have a dev environment, a QA environment, a prod environment. There is no dev, QA, or prod batch systems. You know, there is only one batch system that runs all the time. So we help DOA upgrade that system. We worked with the vendor to create a parallel system. And while it was up and running, then we switched from the old system to the new system. The other one I'm going to talk about is NCDIT, on-prem Boomi. So DIT has this Boomi infrastructure, which is currently on-prem, and my team is helping them to move it into AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. And I see that agencies will need help in migrating their existing legacy infrastructure or applications from on-prem or wherever it is to AWS in the next 5-10 years. So we want to make sure we have skill set built and some experience in that particular area. And the last but not least is the DPS, Department of Public Safety. So a couple of years back, maybe I think 2 years back or 2.5 years back, there was a legislation passed which said Department of Public Safety and emergency management within, emergency management within the Department of Public Safety and DPI, which is Department of Public Instructions, and DIT should work together to come up with a solution for what was in the news at that time, which was a lot of shootings were happening in the schools. And legislature wanted to make sure we provide some help to the schools. So the legislation said these three agencies have to work together and come up with a solution for developing an application which will be on the phone. So school teachers, principals, resource officer, police officers, students, anybody who sees that incident can then use that application on the phone and trigger an emergency response. So solution architecture team worked with the three agencies and we talked to lots of vendors and did market analysis, looked at the demos of the vendors. And what we came to the conclusion is that the vendors, all the solutions involved installing an app on a phone where the individual will have to first unlock your phone, then sign into your app and press a panic button. And what that app would do is it will call a dispatch center that is hosted by the vendor. They will take all your details and they will basically take your call and convey those details to the 911 call center. And definitely there was cost associated with it, about 500K as a one-time cost. And then based on the number of users that have installed app, there was an additional cost per month. So the solution architecture team worked with these agencies and understood, why do we need an app? If I need to use my phone to do this and I'm conveying my information to somebody who's ultimately going to call 911, it's much easier for me to just dial 911. And there is no need to develop app or spend money on these systems. So solution architecture team worked with the legislative liaisons of these three agencies, and we drafted a report which was used to make a presentation to the legislature to say there is no need to buy any applications. People use phones, they can just use the phone to make a 911 call. We don't have to invest additional taxpayers' dollars to buy a new system. So I will conclude with that, unless somebody has any questions on any specific projects that we worked on. And Margaret, are there any questions in the chat room? I'll be more than happy to take any questions.
Yeah, Arvin, we have a couple. The first one is, looks like solution architect is a senior technical person that can help you on critical projects. Excuse me. Do we have solution architects in all agencies to do this kind of work?
So, I mean, that's a very good question. As I said, a solution architect is a senior technical person, and every agency does not have a solution architect, but some of the bigger agencies which do a lot of IT projects do have. For example, DOT and DHHS, they do have a solution architecture practice. There's more than one people. They have actually a team of people. Um, so if any of the audience is from DOT, if you know who Brian Williford is, he's like my counterpart in DOT. People from DHHS, Chris Turpin is my counterpart at DHHS. So bigger agencies have a need for a solution architect because they have so many projects going on at all the time. But if you're a smaller agencies, you don't have big projects going on all the time. So you can't afford to have a person like this all as a full-time employee. And that's where I think we come in and we help agencies. Not that we won't help big agencies, we help anybody who needs essentially help from our team.
So Arvin, for those agencies that don't have a solutions architect on staff, how do you charge those agencies for those services?
So, Margaret, our team, the solution architecture team, is appropriated. What that means is we do not charge agencies for our services. The whole idea behind our team is smaller agencies don't have budget, they don't have sometimes the right technical skills, and they need help for 6 months to a year to just get an important project done. After that, they may not need somebody like us. And usually they are striving for cash or budgets, so we don't charge any to any agencies for our services.
That's awesome. Because like you said, with those small agencies who are strapped for their budget and everything, that's a nice service to get without having to shell out all that money.
And I would just attest that one thing that is awesome about Arvin and Arvin's team is that they know state government, they know our agencies, they know DIT, and so they have such an amazing kind of organizational awareness that they're just awesome if you do have a chance to invite them to work on a really challenging project for you.